What causes us to sin? If sin originates from our heart, from our minds, what actually causes us to sin? Can we identify the process that causes us to break God's law? The Bible is very clear once again that although the stimulus for this process can begin from outside of us, the real battle is actually taking place inside you. The Bible uses the word temptation to describe the process of being enticed to sin. A temptation can start with an external stimulus, something or someone can arouse the desires within your heart. But the real process of temptation takes place inside you. James, in his letter, describes this process very carefully in his first chapter. He says in James 1 and at verse 14, temptation comes from our own desires, which entice us and drag us away. These desires give birth to sinful actions, and when sin is allowed to grow, it gives birth to death. The temptation starts when our desire to act contrary to God's desires is activated. We are enticed, and if we allow this desire to be birthed into action, we end up committing sin. Once again, we understand that the war against sin is happening inside of us. Paul describes this internal battle quite clearly in his 7th chapter of the letter to the Romans. He says this in Romans 7 verse 21. So I find this law at work. Although I want to do good, evil is right there with me. For in my inner being, I delight in God's law, but I see another law at work in me, waging war against the law of my mind and making me a prisoner of the law of sin at work within me. What a wretched man I am. Who will rescue me from this body that is subject to death? There is a war going on, a war between sin and God's law. It is not happening in some heavenly realm. It is happening right inside you, in your heart, in your mind. That is where the enemy is, and that is where you need help.